back-to-back sub 30-second supers are back on the menu. Every season for as long as I can remember, we've had the seasonal artifact. It's brought with us a ton of interchangeable mods, some at a reduced cost to their normal versions, which have shaped the meta in any given season. Some have been brutally overpowered, like the recent Breach and Clear mod from Season of the Splicer, and some have been underwhelming like the Unstoppable Sidearm mod, which never ever seems to go away. Don't get me started on how much it costs to reset the artifact though, because at this point I think I was at about 100,000 glimmer across all 3 characters last season. But there's one mod that I know for a fact will go way under the radar this season and that nobody is talking about. Well of Potency is that mod. But wait, before you click off this video, just wait. I know Elemental Well mods aren't everyone's favourite, but hear me out. I've always been a huge fan of Charge with Light builds since they were a thing, and I advocated for Warmind cells an entire age before they became popular from World's First Raids, and we all know how overpowered they were. Granted, Elemental Wells aren't obviously overpowered at first glance, and really, up until now we've not had anything to write home about. Given the amount of choices we have though with Well mods this season, and the fact that Warmind cells were given a big hit, it's no surprise that Bungie are pushing Guardians to use them in a big way, and there's no bigger way than with a mod that grants you faster supers. You can unlock the Well of Potency mod from the final column in the Wayfinder's Compass seasonal artifact, and it costs 5 energy, making it the most expensive Elemental Well mod we've seen yet. It's classed as a combat style mod and so can be placed in the final mod column on any normal armour piece. Picking up a matching Elemental Well mod grants you super energy. It basically does exactly what it says on the tin, acting much like an orb of power when you collect it. But as it's an Elemental Well, it'll grant you ability energy too to all of your abilities, as it'll be a matching subclass type. So effectively, you're doubling down on your super regen, and really you are leaning into a fast super and ability regen build if you are using this mod. Best thing is though, is that because it's a general combat style mod, you can pair it with the insanely strong particle deconstruction class item mod, which gives a huge buff to fusion and linear fusion rifle damage. However, it's not this combo that makes it a must have in my eyes, it's how it pairs up with not only other Elemental Well mods, but also the newly reworked Super Regen Exotic Armour. Now before we get into how to get back-to-back sub 30-second supers in Season of the Lost using this incredible new mod, why not hit the subscribe button if you're new here. I covered tons of builds and guides aimed at making the endgame of Destiny 2 accessible for everyone so that you too can get that loot. Liking this video really does help me out too and is always appreciated. Why not join our community Discord server as well, the links are down in the description. First up though, and the best mod you'll definitely want to pair with the Well of Potency, in my opinion, is the Font of Wisdom. This won't grant you super energy directly when picking up a well, but it'll buff your super recharge rate for 30 seconds. It instantly takes your intellect stack all the way up to 100 regardless of what your armour stats are, and so gives you the base max cooldown rate for that duration. Now there's plenty of ways to create Elemental Wells right now, and in fairness it all really depends on how you set up your subclass. Hunters might want to make use of the new melee well maker to create wells on melee final blows. With Gambler's Dodge equipped, you can dodge near enemies to get your melee back quickly, plus there's many subclass trees like Top Tree Arcstrider or Middle Tree Gunslinger where you can infinitely chain dodges and melee combos. Likewise with Titans to an extent. Bottom Tree Striker or Middle Tree Defender Void Titans will do bits with melee focused builds. Elemental Ordnance will create wells on grenade final blows, and there's plenty of choice here, but especially on Warlocks with a Bottom Tree Devour Void build. You've even got the Overcharge, Explosive or Reaping Well Maker to create Arc, Solar or Void wells on defeating enemies with your finishers, explosions or after using your class ability respectively. Ultimately though, by far the easiest mod to use to create wells is Elemental Armaments, which will create wells on matching weapon elemental final blows. Every 5 kills will create a well with this mod, and if you combine it with any of the other well creating mods, you're maximising the ability to create them as often as you can. But the real cherry on top here is a mod that isn't yet available, but when it is via the Wayfinder's compass, it's going to revolutionise elemental well builds. Bountiful Wells is that mod, and it'll pair perfectly with the Well of Potency. This mod will allow you to stack mods that create elemental wells, spawning additional wells for each copy of that mod equipped. Spawning multiple wells that grant you ability and super energy is as good as it gets, and if this doesn't get you to give elemental wells a chance, then I think this next build just might. We spoke earlier about the rework to Super Regen Exotics, and you've probably seen the gameplay in the back, but the buff to the Stormdancer's Brace Warlock Exotic Chest Armour has been a favourite of mine so far this season. Not only does it deal escalating damage with the Stormcaller super up to a 100% increase at a 10 times stack of assembling amplitude, but it now also refunds super energy depending on the number of kills. This will only return up to a maximum of 50% of your super, but now combined with the elemental well mods above, you can get your super back in less than 30 seconds. Chuck on the Well of Potency and the Font of Wisdom at a minimum for that bump to super energy as soon as you collect a well. Now at this stage, I'm using all 3 mods of Elemental Armaments, Ordnance and Melee Well Maker. I'll use my grenade and melee as soon as possible to create arc wells, and then start to use my arc weapons to make arc wells too. My Osmosis Fatebringer is taking top spot in my loadout here, which effectively turns into an arc primary after throwing your grenade. The Plug 1 Arc Fusion Rifle is also a great choice to both create wells, but which also benefits from the Particle Deconstruction mod too. Sleeper Simulant is my heavy weapon of choice and is there to deal huge damage to bosses. Hands On will also grant super energy on melee final blows, and this in turn synergizes with the Attunement of Elements subclass. The Rising Storm melee will grant energy to all of your melee, grenade and super on melee final blows. You've also got the Arc Buddy Arc Soul Rift ability, which isn't going to create wells for you here, but it's a bonus nonetheless, as is the Electrostatic Surge perk to boost class ability cooldown and sprint speed when nearby to allies. Landfall though is phenomenal this season, and so why wouldn't you want fast supers so you can slam Arc Ball energy into the ground and destroy everything around you. This will automatically grant you enough kills to get the 50% refund from Stormdancer's Brace if timed correctly, and can take out mini bosses in an instant, not to mention ruining Bubble Titan's days. It's the whole reason I put this build together, as the buff to the super is more than worth it. Once my super's over, all being well, I'll be back at a 50% super recharge. At this point, track down some enemies and use your melee and grenade to create wells. Then use your arc, masterworked weapons to create both wells and orbs of power. By the time your Font of Wisdom is done, you'll have your super back and ready to go. Well of Potency is set to thrust elemental wells into the limelight this season, and I hope that this video helped to set you up to make the most out of them, or maybe to even just dabble with how they work. Have you been using elemental well mods, or are you put off by them? Let me know down in the comments. These longer form videos take a ton of time for me to produce, so if you did enjoy it or found it helpful, just hit that like button. I don't ask for much, but it really does help me out and support the channel. I know that these type of videos have been going down well lately on the channel too, so please also subscribe if you're new so you don't miss out on my next one, and check out my previous stuff as well. That's it for this one though, so on that, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.